Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so what did I walk out of RSC with yesterday? Well, I got the Coke bezel, and it seems like a bigger box than the black bezel came in. Let's check. Yes, different sized boxes. This one says number 2, this one says number 1. Probably more bezels came in this one. Anyway, it's got the black bezel right there. The Coke bezel there. In fact, I can combine these. And I'll put the original bezel in this one. I gotta get a little bag for it though. Got the paperwork, the receipt, and the invoice. If you're wearing a watch and you put on the one you pick up, they'll put the one you had on in one of these plastic cases. And these are the sort of the cheaper cases, and I find you get this case when you're having cheap work done, I guess small jobs as they put it, like bezel changes or having your watch resized. But yesterday, for some reason, I don't know why, I got one of these better cases for the Vostok. Maybe they had run out of the plastic ones, but I prefer these. These are what you get when you have your watch overhauled. A moment of Vostok subdial texture appreciation. All right, why do we hate the Rolex Cellini line? Okay, well, that statement's a bit over the top. Do I hate Cellini's? No. Would I buy one? Hell no. Would I accept one? Would I wear one? Sure, why not? Now, a word on pronunciation. I've heard it pronounced Cellini. I've heard it pronounced Cellini. I think Cellini's probably correct, but I'm going to go with Cellini because I like it more. Now, before I get started, let me ask you guys, does anybody have a Cellini? If you do and you're willing to admit it, then let me know in the comments section what you have. Would you consider getting a Cellini? Let me know. All right, so let's talk about the history of Cellini. Now, Cellini, the line, started in 1960, and the person credited with the idea for the Cellini line is René P. Jeanneret. He's the same guy that came up with the idea for the sub. He was a sportsman and thought Rolex should have a dive watch, hence the Submariner was born. And he was pretty integral to what Rolex became, and I don't think Rolex would be Rolex without René P. Jeanneret. So he came up with the idea for the Cellini line. Why? To sell more watches. The idea that people may need an exit watch, a retirement watch. You know, the idea is that a person gets an Oyster for their professional career, perhaps a airline pilot gets a GMT, and when he's retiring and he's flown his last flight, he takes off his GMT Master or Master 2, puts it in his drawer, and picks up a Rolex Cellini to enjoy his golden years in and enjoy a well-finished, precious metal, kind of fancy watch. So basically, a retirement watch. And the idea was it would sell another watch. Okay, just one more watch a person needs, right? So that's really the birth of the Cellini and the intention behind its creation. It was named after a 16th century goldsmith, stone setter, and engraver who was Italian and apparently pleased with his skill kings and queens alike. Now, these days, the idea of a Cellini is, well, they're not good value propositions, and first of all, let me just say that when you compare anything to an Oyster, a professional steel Oyster, it's going to lose, all right? No matter what watch or what brand it is, it's probably going to lose, all right? I think something like an Omega Speedmaster possibly can hold its own against something like an Iconic Sub or GMT, but barely, all right? So I think that the Cellini line is at a disadvantage right there, all right? When it comes down to it, a lot of the watches in the Oyster range are iconic, and I think you're going to get a better watch. You're going to get more watch for less money than you are with the idea of going for a Cellini, okay? So let me just say that I think that's a factor right there. But why are Cellinis such bad value propositions? Well, basically, I think that they're trying to do haute horology, but they're failing. For the same money, I think you could go with a similarly styled watch, something like a Patek Calatrava, and you're going to get a better watch. I mean, Patek's a better brand, and what do I mean by better? Well, I'll let you figure that out, but it's older, it's got a better reputation, it's haute horology, it's fancier. People who know their watches are going to respect a Patek more. So why somebody would go for a Cellini is sort of beyond me. But Rolexes really are tool watches, and their movements are, they're workhorse movements. And you can dress up a Cellini as an answer to a Patek, but it's not. And you can see that with the lack of a display case back and a movement that is not decorated. And look, decoration is a way to really have pride in a piece, and to display that and to decorate it beautifully. I mean, really it separates a tool watch from haute horology. And Rolex is going for that haute horology market, but they're half-assing it, frankly. And could they pull it off? Well, possibly. They would need to finish their movements. They would need to decorate their movements. They would need to have real pride in not just the functionality of their movement, but also the finishing of it. And they would need to put a case display back on their Cellinis to show that. And they're not willing to do that. And for that reason, I think most people who know their stuff are going to say there are a lot better haute horology options out there. And I don't even think that you could even call Cellini haute horology at all, even though that's what they're going for. They're going for that market, but again, they're failing at it. Now, Rolex came out in 2005 with their first and only and last display caseback model. It was what was it? It was Rolex Prince, and it was a rectangular watch. It looked a lot like the shape of a reverso, and it had a rectangular display caseback, just a little window, and not really that impressive. So maybe that was sort of a realization there that, yeah, we're not really cut out for that. We're not willing to put in the effort to do this right, so let's just give it up. So I think that's a big reason right there. I think that it's an attempt to go for haute horology, but it's sort of fake haute horology, to be honest. And I think people know that. What do you think? I think that's at least one factor. There might be others that I'm missing. I think they're overpriced as well, especially when you can get a real piece of haute horology for similar money. And let me just also say that when it comes to something like a Patek, and I think really a Patek and a Cellini, I think they're real close competitors. for that person willing to buy that style of watch with that kind of money. With a Patek, you're getting a heirloom piece. I mean, any Patek can be serviced by Patek. As long as Patek exists, they will service and stand behind their watches, and Rolex doesn't, and that's embarrassing. And it's probably one of the worst aspects of Rolex, in my opinion. And if I ever do sell all my Rolexes and just go for one watch, it would be a Patek. And it's really for that reason, because it is about as eternal a piece of horology as you can get. And the brand, by backing it, no matter what, no matter how old the watch is, really shows that. And it's embarrassing that Rolex doesn't. And that's why, if you have the money for something like a Cellini, probably be crazy to buy one over a Patek. Let me know what you think. Take care. Why do you think Cellinis are dogs and perhaps worthy of derision? Well, I gave you one reason. Give me some others. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.